And greetings once again, Mike Blinder, publisher of E&P Magazine, and welcome back. And to those of you that are new to an E&P sponsored webinar, today it's our host is Elite Insights. And with that being said, I want to welcome my guests today. First of all, Shane Brinkerhoff, you are CEO of Elite Insights. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Ben Lindquist, I know I'm saying your name correctly, General Manager of the St. George News in St. George, Utah. Welcome as well.
Yeah, pleasure.
Okay, so let's start off with you, Ben, if we don't mind. For those of you that don't know what Canyon Media is and the St. George News is, could you just give us a quick, elevator pitch, who you are, what's the market like, so we can all get an idea of your operation, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. No, our market size is about 200,000. We're in the southwest corner of Utah, so we're not in a major metro area like a Salt Lake, or we're actually closer to Las Vegas geographically. But we're kind of an interesting market. We've really grown over the years. This has become kind of a tourist spot. You get a lot of Ironman, marathons. We've got several national parks super close by. So it's an active market. Traditionally, it was kind of a snowbird market, which is where you'd get the northern part of the state migrating down here for the winters because of the nice weather. But from a business standpoint, we've really kind of exploded the last 10 to 15 years. And for what our role in that is we've started an online publishing company called St. George News. We've got one of the second largest newsrooms in the state. And we're hyper local. If it doesn't pertain to our market and it's not local, we just don't cover it. And we've really kind of find a nice little sweet spot there in news coverage there, including during the election cycle and some of the things that were going on there. So a really unique market for us.
And what is your digital infrastructure like? In other words, do you have a dedicated digital team, or is it all hands on deck? Do you have a digital manager? Where are you at on the geeky side, if I may ask?
Yeah, no, it's a fair question. So it's interesting. It's kind of like one of those stories of you get built and it looks like it was easy, but then you look back 10 years ago and you realize, oh my gosh, no, we pieced this thing together. And really it's a case of kind of hiring one person at a time and building out our digital department, because we're not publicly owned. We're not a big corporation. We didn't have this ability to go hire 10 people at once. We had to piece it together one person at a time. And we do. We actually have a 4-person video team. We've got a 3 or 4 person graphic team. And then we do have a director that oversees all that and kind of, make sure that we're on the cutting edge and doing those things. But I say that, but it sounds easier than it was. It really was a lot of hard work and finding the right people. And we really did. We pieced it one guy at a time. And when we could put the next piece together, we would do that and slowly built it over time.
Where did the best, I see that beautiful graphic over your shoulder, the best of program that many media properties.
Highlighted that a little more. There we go.
There you go. You got a whole slew of them, and loud and proud. How did you hook up with Elite Insights and decide on doing a best of program?
Yeah, so we used another provider for our first year. We were looking for some ways to create some more revenue and kind of stumbled upon it and found an outfit that did kind of a basic product. It was very non-digital, analog spreadsheets and Google Docs. And after year one, we went, okay, we think we're onto something, but something's missing, right? We need a little more tech. We need a little more speed and access for our salespeople to respond to leads when they came in, and so we just went searching and came across Shane and Cody and their team and found Elite Insights. They're actually based out of our region, and so we went, okay, let's give this a shot. We felt like we were just on the verge of discovering something and breaking through from a revenue standpoint. We did enough revenue the first year that we went, okay, this if we put a little more effort into this, a little more preparation, and add a component that we could really pour gas on this thing.
Dane, that was a perfect introduction for you and your offering. We've got the lay of the land now in St. George. Tell us a bit about Elite Insights, your operation, and more importantly, what the heck is the Best of program?
Yeah, so Lead Insights, we really just 100% exclusively focus on best of. We just want to try to create the most comprehensive end-to-end best of software platform out there to help our partners, engage the community, generate leads, and most importantly, generate revenue. We've got a lot of tech behind this that makes a pretty seamless process for publishers to be able to use the platform, but it is a really heavily sales revenue generating focused piece of software.
Describe a best of program. If you don't, for those that don't understand, to some it's just rote. They understand, but how would you give that elevator pitch on what a best of program is?
Our philosophy in running a best of is to be able to really look at every one of the nominations coming in as a potential lead. And really, our theory is that we want to have sales reps be able to get out and talk to businesses that they're not normally talking to. When we really look at our programs across the board, about 60% of the revenue, if they run them correctly and really get out and talk to everybody, comes from people they're not currently getting money from. So like in Ben's market, one time a year, they get to go out and get all this money from businesses that they're not currently getting revenue from. It gives them introductions, gets them to be able to go back to them on additional promotions or continue to spend. And so if we really kind of get, reps out of their comfort zone and get out and talk to businesses, these programs can really catch fire and generate a ton of revenue.
Let's circle back to Ben. Ben, I've done best of programs. I used to manage a radio station in Portland, Maine. And when the local paper did a best of program, we would all huddle in the conference room and fill out like 100 of those, for our morning show and all that. We were always trying to cheat on those things, because we wanted our morning show to be number one. But there's three phases, right? There's the nomination process, and there's the voting process, and there's the salutes that follow. Do I have that right, Ben? Let's start off with the nomination process. What do? You go on your radio stations, you go out on your sites, you say nominate the best ofs, and people go online and can they make up their own categories, or are the categories pretty preset on what they're nominating best ofs?
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned the old, what we call ballot stuffing. Like I said, and I think you've got some experience in the past in your prior life with a Gannett property here that actually ran a best of contest prior to us. And for whatever reason, they kind of let it fall by the wayside. But what was interesting about that is we were in the same boat, except for I witnessed, I can't remember the burger place that it was, but they were saying, hey, come in here and vote for the best burger and we'll give you something. And right out of the gate, I went, okay, there's something strange about that. We don't want this to be something that, these businesses work so hard to, stay in business, to grow their companies, to generate revenue, to provide a good product. And we thought we want to find something that is fair and equitable for everybody. Yes, it's essentially a beauty pageant. It's a popularity contest. But here's what we noticed is that a popularity contest, if you don't treat your customers good, if you don't have a good product, if your staff is unfriendly, it's hard to be very popular when you put that over an average and you put that over time. And so what we found early on was, okay, we need a voting process that is secure. We need a voting process that is fair. And that's really how we originally kind of found Elite Insights is we needed something that had good ad tech so that we could ensure in the community that they were having a fair chance to win. And so what we do is and this is another one of the kind of the blueprints that we hadn't quite figured out, right? The first year we went, oh, we're going to just try this. And by year two, we went, okay, we need to make some adjustments. And one of the ones that they recommended was having this pre-promotion, right? Like kind of priming the pump a little bit. And then you get all of these nominations. So then you hit your nomination period. And Shane mentioned that everybody kind of does it a little bit different. But what we did was we said, okay, we want everybody that gets nominated to go through to the actual voting period. And what we'd seen some of these contests do, including in our own market in prior years, was it became kind of a, if you spent something, you got to this, or if you were able to stuff enough ballots at your place and incentivize somebody that you could go through and be one of the top 2 or 3 in that category. And for us, we want as much participation as possible. So we allow every single nomination. Your question to categories. Now, we have found that there are some categories that just don't make sense. Either they don't get enough participation or there's just not enough there. In our market, we make sure that there's at least 3 businesses nominated per category. But there's times that we'll get a recommended category and we'll go, well, of course, yeah. How did we not think of that category? And there's other times we get done with the contest and we go, yeah, there was not enough participation to keep that category going. So we'll throw that to the wayside. So it's kind of an ever-growing contest from year to year, but our main categories stay pretty consistent.
The nomination process is going on. We just heard Shane say these are amazing leads for your sales team. So as these leads come in, these nominations come in, how do you get that engagement in the community to your sales department? And what is the sales department doing at that moment? Take us behind the curtain now. You're inside the operation and all these nominations are coming in. What are you guys doing to boost some revenue?
Yeah. And again, this is where there was really a paradigm shift for us, where it went from exploratory, let's see if we can pull this off, to hang on a second, there's revenue here that we had no idea existed. And Shane said it just a few minutes ago. He said, we look at nominations as leads, and we didn't have that insight at that point until we worked with these guys and went, okay, hold on a second. Every nomination that comes in is a potential business that we could do business with outside of the contest. And so we don't, suddenly start stalking them right out of the gate, but we try and have a very open conversation with, hey, is there any questions you have once a business is nominated? And we have our sales people make that contact. And so one of the interesting things about the product itself is the speed in which a nomination comes in and we're able to distribute it out to our salespeople so that they can make that first contact. It's like anything else, right? With a lead. If you let a lead sit for a week, that the emotion of what made it a lead in the first place dissipates. And so if we can get a rep contacting them within the first hour or two, when they're excited, thinking their businesses, we've been nominated, or we're nominating ourselves, or we became a part of the contest, what we found is that the success for a sales rep to make a positive contact and potentially generate future revenue really is greatly enhanced. And maybe the craziest thing out of all of this is that we found businesses that we never did anything with, right? 60% of the people that entered this contest were people that we'd never had on our news site or on a radio station in our market ever. So imagine if you're a sales rep and you see that and your eyes just go, wait a second, all I'm trying to do as a sales rep is generate new business and find new leads. And suddenly I'm getting 60% lift in leads. It's pretty spectacular, really.
I maintain that that's the biggest challenge in media sales today. It's not the ascertainment, the first call. It's getting in the door. It's having a lead. And I'm going to say this, what an amazing entree it must be for the rep to have instant contact as the ambassador of the brand by saying, one of our listeners, one of our on-site readers thinks you rock, sir, thinks you rock, ma'am. I mean, that's the beginning of building that critical street cred and rapport with a business. I can't think of a better lead gen.
You're
rather than saying, I came by your business and thought it would be good for us to meet and sit down. The old Chris Lytle radio openings. Yeah. This is brilliant. Yeah. And the fact that you put that in, you start the pipeline instantly with the rep, not some, marketing person, a rep, then that's just a perfect way to cultivate that lead. All right. So now the leads are coming in, the reps are making contact. Then you go into the voting process. Your audience No, actually, you're tallying the lead, the votes, correct? Are you, when you're getting you're starting to see who's going to start to win first, second, and third. Are you now what? How do you turn that into instant revenue? Are you immediately saying, we're going to be saluting you, we're about to salute you? How do you start selling
Sure.
the
Sure.
ads
Yeah,
around this?
and so to take one step back, so you have a nomination period, right? And then you create the actual ballot for the category. So if it was furniture store and you had 6 businesses that were nominated, right? Or you had 2, right? If you only had 2, then that category is not able to move on to an actual ballot, voting period, because we require that there's 3. Now that might differ for people. You might want to just have 2, but for us, we felt like it adds credibility to have more than a potential gold or silver winner that could win in a category. And so something like furniture, if you have 8 furniture stores that were nominated, we don't whittle it down at that point. We actually move them on to the voting process so that 8 potential businesses, you know, can actually win in that category. And we don't, that's the great thing about this, right? Is yes, we're operating a best of contest, but we're still doing day-to-day business at this point in our month or our year. We don't have time to tally these up. I don't have time to sit down with Shane and do all that. And also, I think it adds a little more credibility in the contest that a third party handles that part. And so Shane and his group, they tally that as a third party, which I think adds so much credibility. And then if I saw all of that, I think it taints the contest a little bit. If I was involved in that process, I think it's a conflict of interest. And so I also don't have the time to do that, to sit and hammer all that out. These guys have a great piece of software. I don't know what is behind the curtain for them, but it moves along to the voting process, and that's generally about a 2-week to 2.5-week voting period. And that's where we really, our eyes were opened with this idea of what they call a custom voting page. And so what we do there is, our team will, in that nominations process, will pitch these clients, hey, look, here's a great way you get a QR code, you get an instant, someone goes in your business, scans the QR code, it goes right to your voting page. They already love you. It gives them so much more access to vote for you. And what we realized is any business, right? If you ran a contest for a month, you'd have business fatigue. No, just what I said about being busy and having other things going. All of these small businesses are doing that as well. Some of them are the manager, they're the marketer, they're the accountant, they're the waiter, they're all of those things. So we only ask them, hey, just go out and push your business for 2 to 2.5 weeks during the voting process. And then what happens is at the end of that voting process, I think it takes Shane and his team a couple of days to tally those votes, and then they provide those first and second place, or behind me, gold and silver winners. And then that's where, for us, kind of the second wave happens, which is where we print a magazine in our market, or some call it maybe like a miniature phone book. It's become a catalog. It's grown so much. And what we found is if we can put together a really nice print piece, there's another revenue stream that can be associated with that. So we actually do a magazine too, and that's additional revenue.
This interface and this ability to provide the necessary information to a sales team so all the moving parts click in order. I mean, is this all coded, or do you have human beings in the mix working with the sales team? Talk to us about how you interact with Ben's team to make this thing as profitable as possible.
Yeah, so the one unique thing about our software is that as these leads come in, as the nominations come in, we have, different levels of access. You have, general manager, sales reps. And so when the lead or when a nomination comes in, it actually flows right into a real-time database. So you're seeing this, the second it comes in, then the sales manager is able to look at his his book of business or their their CRM and see, is this assigned to somebody? Do they work this region? Do they work this particular vertical or category? And they're able to right then assign a business to a sales rep. That sales rep gets an email instantly and says, hey, you've been assigned this business. When they log into the platform, they're able to see what was put in. They were able to see what categories they were nominated for. And then that allows the sales reps to then call that business up, congratulate them on being nominated, and ask if they could come and sit down with them. And hey, I want to come sit down with you, talk you through the program, kind of show you what we're doing. So that gives a really fast level of getting these access out. So when we're deploying with the sales team, we're able to say, hey, this is how this is going to run. We're able to train a sales manager to be able to send these leads out as soon as they're coming in. And sometimes you can get a lead in and have a rep will be talking to them within minutes of being able to call them up, talk to them about the platform. They're excited about it, and then show them the different products that we have that are for sale on the ballot.
Is it just you throw the team some great videos to watch? Are you doing live webinars? I mean, discuss how you're keeping a sales rep motivated and excited to make sure this is a top of mind product they want to focus on.
Yeah, so not only do we have all kinds of different collateral for all the products and stuff like that, but often we are doing trainings like a Zoom training with the team to let them understand the ballot, let them understand the different revenue opportunities that are on there, and then just trying to stay engaged with them as they get out, talking to the community and talking to the different businesses as they go through. So we try to provide as much training as we possibly can. We have collateral for each of these products that are easily customized. And we have a sales support team that they can write into at any time if they've got questions, so that we can keep them out on the street and keep them out talking to businesses.
Ben, I have a background totally in sales, but similar to yours. I started as a disc jockey. Then I worked myself into sales and eventually managed a radio station. I did TV. I entered the newspaper industry obliquely as a digital expert and helped launch a newspaper's website. Sure. But I've heard every objection a sales rep will throw at a sales manager. Like, you've never heard this one, Ben. I have too much to sell. You've never heard that, I'm sure.
Oh,
and you've never heard, I don't get enough training, or I never get enough support. I mean, you hear it all. I always say the problem with a sales manager is you have to have massive sales resistance, because the best salespeople in the world are trying to sell you on why they can't sell. And
yeah, it's 100%.
At that on the street. Please, salespeople who are listening to this, I apologize. I'm painting this with but this is the challenge. It's called mental mechanisms. You got to motivate them, get them out on the street. How has this deployment been accepted by your team? Especially with the outside company, because sometimes they resent the outside company coming in. How did they embrace this? Are they all on board? Talk to me about that sales energy so necessary in order to make the world work for you.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'd love to say, right out of the gate, every one of our salespeople wrapped their arms around it and said, oh my gosh, I'm going to make so much money this year. I don't know what to do. That never happens. But what does happen is, if you've got a good piece of software that makes their life easier, and you can connect the dots from, hey, look, have you ever seen the warmest lead in your life delivered to your email on a silver platter? Because that's what happened. So while we didn't get immediate adoption day one, by about day 2 or 3, when they went, wait a minute, so I just have to call this person and say, hey, congratulations, you were nominated. Your business is incredible. People care about you. Feel good, feel good, feel good. Do you have any questions? Yeah, I do have questions. Like, what is this? I want to win this now. People said I was great. I want to be the best. And so what happened is, by about day 2 or 3, they went, oh, if I don't wrap my arms around this, so-and-so is going to make a lot more money than I am, or sales manager is going to assign these to someone that's going to follow up quicker or be more on top of it. So by about day 3, everyone went, oh my gosh. And by the end of the contest first year, what really happened was reps went, oh my gosh, this is a quarter changer. This is a budget changer. Literally, our contest kicks off in January. Having come from a background in media yourself, broadcast especially, January is the absolute worst month in the history of media, particularly broadcast. It's the one where we go, if we can just get to April, we'll be okay. January is our highest billing month of the year now. Second highest, February is our highest. It used to be May. It used to be October, November, even December. It's now January. We've basically swiveled the entire thing because of this contest.
The business sticks after the contest. Are you develop? I mean, you know the game. I mean, what you really want is a nice. I used to say when I managed a radio station, I want 33% of my business long term. I want those full year contracts, that base every month I can look forward to would service the living heck out of these people. Are you maintaining them beyond the sizzle of that contest and keeping them on board as regular advertisers?
Yeah, it's a great question. We kind of call it, the term we use is halo revenue, because what we found was, it's like any statistic. If you get 60% of the business community that you've never done business with, and you give them a good experience, you run a fair and honest contest, your sales reps follow up, and you're able to kind of show them a few more of the pieces of your products, you end up making connections, right? And so I think the first couple of years we did it, we were 7 or 8 annuals came out of it, people that we had never done business with. And it ends up being, and that's the kind of the beauty of it. Yes, it's lead generation, but what happens after the contest is what you really need to sustain your year, right? We know in media that, you're going to expect 10 to 15, 20% in some of the last decade years of attrition. You're going to have attrition. And yes, you need this influx right into the budget and the billing for a company, but you need it all year long too. And so that's probably, I would rate the lead generation as primary, and I would put the halo advertising as probably the second biggest surprise of running this contest, because we really did. We got so much new business, but what was interesting is we got annuals out of them. No, we didn't get 500 new annuals, but think of the difference in getting 6, 7, 8 annuals, at an average of $30,000 to $50,000 in a market our size. That changes the course of a budget. That changes the course of a year from a revenue standpoint.
Shane, is this success an anomaly? I mean, you got Ben here screaming, he's making money. New business generation, everything every sales manager goes to bed and wishes for. This is I mean, do you hear this coast to coast with all different types of deployments? Is this an average deployment for you, or a better than average, if I may be so bold?
I would say Ben's is a better than average deployment. They really did embrace a philosophy that has worked really well. But yes, we hear this across the board. I mean, Ben's was a very similar type of deployment as most of ours. They came from a different program. They had revenue associated with particular items, banner sponsorships, different things like that. We were able to, easily get their category lists implemented, create the same products, get the revenue associated with those particular items, be able to match the product set, and then give some additional products to sell. And, even with his, we were up against a tight timeline. We were able to get his deployed in about a week, but we've had some really good success, and we haven't really talked, numbers as much, but, Ben's program, I believe, was over $600,000 in revenue this year, and which is a pretty crazy number. But yeah, we've had a lot of our deployments have been able to definitely increase revenue. I think the speed in which they're able to get the leads out, and if they kind of embrace that philosophy of this is a program we're going to really try to go after with revenue, we're going to use the tech to be able to do that. They've had very good success.
I was going to save that to a few more questions, but did you go over 600K with this program this year?
Yeah, I think it was 642 this year total.
And correct me if
And
I'm wrong.
for perspective,
And
our average billing month is that's probably about $100,000, $150,000 over an average billing month for us. So I kind of joke, it's like Elite Insights has kind of given us a 13th month of billing in many ways.
and Shane took 60% of that for
He,
costs to deploy this.
he wishes.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
and that, yeah, go
I was
ahead.
about to ask, and how, I mean, a lot of you sell digital services. You know, some of the stuff you sell's got a lot of
Oh,
cost against it, like Google AdWords. I mean, God forbid you could make a profit on that, right? But you got to
yeah,
sell it,
no.
or someone else will.
Yeah.
Is this profitable? I mean, Ben, Shane, you can close your ears if you want, but is this a profitable deployment? Because you know what a lot of people are looking at: vendor costs, and after you pay
Absolutely.
commissions.
Oh,
Would
yeah.
you is this something that's really hitting that bottom line, not just the top line, sir?
Oh, 100%. And you hit the nail on the head. We sell every digital product there is out there. Every third party, we at least offer in some way, shape, or form. We run the numbers down to the single percentage point on our profitability on those things. And like, if you're doing SEM pay per click, if you're lucky, if you can clear, a 10 to 15%, service fee on that. Those are the absolute worst. But what I'll tell you is that we are beyond 50% profitable on every dollar we sell through this program, which, you can't say that about a lot of the third-party products that you offer right now. And that's just on the stuff that's funneled through the program. All of the halo business that I'm talking about, all of this stuff that comes in, through sales osmosis, that's 100% in-house products for us. So if we sell a long-term display campaign, sponsored content stories, a video product, those are all things that we're making, after all of our expenses in-house, we're making 70, 80% on those. So that's the beauty of that thing is, yeah, sure. I don't think anybody's going to say if I can go make, bill 600,000 and profit 300, and then on top of that, I can go sell another $200,000 and profit, 160 of that, that you would have a problem with that versus some of the difficulties in third-party products today.
Really, the deployment took forever. You had to recode your entire site to add this software. Had to add a stat. I'm being funny. Had to add 10
I
other.
know.
How how easy and turnkey? Because that's the second thing I hear from when we talk to sales managers. I don't have a lot of bandwidth. I don't have a lot of extra people here. I need something I can deploy and still do my regular job.
Yeah.
How easy was implementation of the Elite Insights best of solution?
Yeah, I mean, to me, and again, your years in media, you can appreciate this. There's times we've kept bad products because of the fear of implementation, right? Oh my gosh, how am I going to disrupt my entire sales team or my admin team, and how much revenue is going to be lost while we're trying to figure out how to, find the front door of this product. You don't have enough time for that. Like you really don't. And I wish I would have been a little less skeptical probably right out of the gate, because I think we could have ran a little faster in terms of finally making the switch to Elite Insights. But once we did, the implementation was probably one of the easiest. I've already tried to hire a couple of his crew, like, hey, are you really happy there? Because they make it easy. Very rarely do you deal with a software where people understand the importance of revenue. You don't come across that, right? Usually you're dealing with the developer that has come up with this product and said, okay, it needs to work just like this. Well, theirs is revenue focused. So immediately they were speaking my language in terms of, we can't have our team working on implementing this for a month, right? We got a week. Our team has to know how to go in and out of this thing in less than a week. And so, I would give them a glowing review on that. Obviously, we've had a lot of success with it, but I've also implemented a ton of products, including entire new platform for our news site in the last year. And it took 8 months to implement that. If I knew what I knew now, I would have never switched it. I can't say that about this product.
Yes, I had to do that when I took over EMP. It's like divorcing your bank in a way. It's difficult.
Yeah. In another language.
It's a complete different world. So that's my question to Shane. Shane, there are people here that are, building their websites on their own, some using WordPress, some are working with major content management systems and providers. Are you completely platform agnostic? Is it easy and simple for me to use my URL, my brand, and deploy your program and make sure it works seamlessly?
Yeah, so we've got many different ways that you can put it in to your site. We've got people that, like Ben actually does a standalone site for his, so they wanted to run under bestofsouthernnutah.com outside of the framework of the site. So you can run that way. You can do it through an embed code. You can do it through an iframe. And just with the one set of code that you put into your page, all the rest of the stuff will just move. So, you'll move from a promotion phase to a nomination phase just by whatever you set in the platform. So it's, once you get the code in, it's kind of set it and forget it.
You give to any publisher today. This is your final pitch. I mean, to help out Shane here. We've got all shapes and stripes. We've got people who run business magazines. We've got people who run major newspapers and print products. We've got people running broadcast operations. We've got nonprofits that have realized they actually have to sell advertising above and beyond philanthropic giving. God forbid you got to go out and build your client base and customer base. What advice do you give to all those publishers out there who have not done a best of program? Is this something they should take a look at?
Yeah, I mean, if they've heard anything and heard the way that I've said it, I am a full believer at this point. And again, if you look back 5-6 years ago, I was not. I was the audience that's going, well, is this, I've seen these. Do they really work? Is there really money to be made in that? We actually, I didn't mention this, but we have 2 other markets, one in our northern part of the state and one up in actually southeast Idaho. That both run these platforms as well. So as much as I'd like to say I'm the best manager and we're really great at sales and our salespeople are incredible, we've been able to plug and play this in other markets inside of our companies and have incredible success. And so what I'd say, what are you waiting for? I mean, it really is that simple. Anytime you bring on a new product, there's always going to need to be work, right? But what I would say is that if your sales team is willing to work, right? If you've got good people, if you have a manager that's revenue focused, if you're an organization that is revenue focused, there's no better promotion, there's no better contest, there's no better revenue generating event in your entire year. I've done them all. 4th of July contests. I've done all of the holiday contests. We've done anything that you can possibly think of. We've tried over the last 20 years. I've never seen anything like this. And we mentioned the lead generation. I mentioned the halo advertising, but what every media company would want is also an additional database of users and nominees and businesses and people in the community. And that's probably one of the greatest things that we've been able to take from this is we've got a massive database. We had nearly 1 million votes in our contest this year. We didn't start with that, okay? But we ended up with nearly 1 million votes, thousands of businesses nominated. So if you're a business that's looking to grow a database and you actually want more revenue, which is everybody, right? I'm saying it kind of like you, a little sarcastically at this point. There's no better thing that you can do for your business than doing one of these contests. And frankly, unpaid endorsement, I can tell you right now, there's no better company to do it with than these guys, because I've never come across somebody that understands revenue like these guys do.
All right, Shane, what's it take for someone to onboard and get started with Elite Insights?
Yeah, so if you've got a contest currently, if you're looking to run in a contest, we'd love to be able to get on, go through the contest, or go through what your goals are. Kind of like with Ben, we have ran contests for the last 5 years ourselves. We're very familiar with them, and we usually kind of go through a little bit of a consultation of where you want to go with your contest, what you've currently had. What we feel gives you the best ways to generate revenue. And if it's going to work, and we can take you through our process, our database, and give you a demo of how the software works. We've been able to onboard people in a day. We've got a lot of or a lot of import mechanisms that we can take from current contests, or just to be able to set it up. We've got a great onboarding team and sales support team in the back end. So we've literally got on a phone call with the guy on a Zoom call like we are on now, and went through a contest and set him up and had him code by the time we finished the end of the phone call. So, it's quite easy, but we just have a ton of customization in the platform, no matter how you want to run the contest, how many times you want to allow people to vote, what phases you want to be able to put together. We just need to do that. It's a very simple configuration, and we can have you up and running.
May be viewing this on YouTube or listening to it in one of our other platforms, just go to Elite Insights. Your web address again, Shane, is?
eliteinsights.io.
There you go. Ben Lindquist, with now over 1 million first-party data contacts added, over $600,000 in recent new revenue this year alone, and he gets to have a calendar now of 13 months, if I may use your metaphor, thanks to Shane's operation. I thank you for your time. Shane, I'm sure we'll be having more of these case studies at E&P that we'll be honored to amplify. Thank you, gentlemen, for your valuable time.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.